So, I want to talk about this idea I've seen recently permeate in the red pill philosophy, dating guru philosophy, talking about, how to get girls and how to attract them, dude. And I see this one through line I see constantly, and it aggravates the absolute hell out of me, right? And this through line I see constantly is this idea as a young male, you gotta focus on your purpose. Focus on your purpose, and the women will come. Women love a guy that has purpose. And it annoys the absolute hell out of me because it's always very ambiguous. It's never really concrete, and it feels more like a talking point, or it feels more like an empty platitude than anything you should actually strive for, right? Because what I would like to do on my channel is to try to shape forward a strong sense of identity for you as a young male, right? I can't be your father figure. I can't really even be your role model. But what I want to do, whenever you walk away from any of my YouTube videos, is to walk away with the sense of understanding that you're strong and you have value as a young man. And to a lesser extent, whenever I do focus on young ladies, I try to do the same thing there as well, and try to impart that there is value in who and what you are, independent of like materialism or what other people say, right? So I don't ever want anyone to leave a video, right, ambiguous or confused or like not truly understanding what it means to have a purpose, like I see a lot of like these dating gurus leave us. Because I sit there and I just find myself oftentimes befuddled, because I always ask a very interesting question to myself. I say, well, what if my purpose is to be a farmer and live in a small house, and just have fun raising my chickens and my pigs? Of course, it's not really what I want to do, but what if it was, right? Is everything about that modest life is not at all congruent with everything that comes before what the dating gurus are saying. That simple, plain existence is not the path that the man takes to get an Instagram baddie. It's not the path the man takes to get a high quality, a high value woman. It's not the path of the path of modesty, simple life. It's not what you do. Now, you can certainly be successful in such endeavor in finding a girl who's out in the Midwest, a girl who's more conservative. There are ladies who are definitely going to be interested in that lifestyle. But they're not the ladies. They're not the focus the red pill is focused on. The dating gurus are not focused on these normal, average, farm bred and raised women. Just not. It's just not. And so, with that understanding, I always find myself really aggravated and annoyed whenever this is put as a milestone, or this is put as something that young men have to do in order to court women or to have women in your lives. You have to focus on your purpose. But what does that even mean? What are you talking about? What purpose? What am I supposed to do with my life? The greatest irony about it all is, for thousands of years, for many years, long before we made it here to modernity, the purpose of our human existence is something men have pontificated upon constantly. It's no real simple answer to it. Well, if you're a Christian like I am, the answer is rather clear. Is to live a good life that glorifies God, and you try to help other people also live that life. You be kind, you strive and try your best to be righteous and good and help the people around you, all while reflecting the love that God himself has given you. Clean, simple, beautiful purpose that I love. That ain't what dating gurus is trying to get you niggas to do. It ain't. It just ain't. It's not. What they're really more talking about when it says having a purpose is striving hard and working hard and dedicating yourself to materialism, trying to obtain wealth, trying to obtain status, notoriety. None of these guys are ever really saying that you work on your purpose to live a good life. Because the truth of the matter is, if you are a young male and your purpose, or the purpose you give for yourself, is to have a family, you must ipso facto focus on finding a woman. You can't have a family without a woman. I guess you could adopt children if that's what you want. You could do that. But functionally, having your own family lineage, your own family line, your own ability to reproduce, if that is your purpose, to be a good father, to be a good man in a family, you just cannot, you can't do what the dating gurus tell you to not focus on women. It's just not possible. You would need to focus on finding a good woman at some point in time. It's incongruent with what your purpose is. So when it's so nebulous, when it's so ill-defined, if anything, a word that means anything means nothing. And so focusing on your purpose kind of boils down to meaning nothing. Because I think of I oftentimes use myself as an example in how, whenever I've courted with women, whenever I've been successful with women, whenever I've been in relationships with women, or more pseudo relationships with women, I'm going to be honest, the conversation and discussion of my purpose never came up. Never. There's never. In fact, I think about my time talking to women. Very seldom. There's only been a few times where I've been able to talk philosophically, authentically, or emotionally vulnerable with a young lady. And even in those few times where I've done so, again, like my purpose, very seldom ever really comes up. But interestingly enough, what I've noticed is even when it does come up, it never endears a woman to me. A woman's never been endeared to me because of my strong desire to do what's right. A woman's never really liked me, and even if she has liked me, a woman's never wanted to be committed to me. She's never wanted to say, I've never been selected and picked and committed to by a woman for my virtue, for my compassion, for my need and desire to do what's right. No woman has ever committed to me because I wanted to be a father and wanted no. And in fact, I'm thinking of a young lady right now. And I'm thinking of most women I've met. I can go into details some other time, but what's important in this video now is, I cannot command a woman's loyalty with my love and desire to be good. I cannot command a woman's loyalty. And by command, I don't mean like a military leader. Like I want you guys to understand my diction and what I'm trying to say is I cannot get a woman to be attached to me because I want to love her, because I want to do what's right by her and by my family and by my children. I cannot summon that desire in a woman, right? I can summon woman's sexual desire. I mean, I wouldn't say easily, but I mean, I can do it. I can have sex with women. That's not really hard. Well, okay, it's hard for some guys, but that's another conversation for another time. I can do all that stuff, and I can make women feel special, at least temporarily. I understand women enough to be able to get temporary validation from women in temporary relationships, but I cannot command a wife from the bunch of women I've encountered. I can't get a woman to respect that core of me and want to be with me, right? And so when I think of those elements and that nature and just have been constantly never appreciated for it by women, never had any woman really compliment me for it, I've never had a woman really like it. Hopefully you guys understand that this is what I mean when I say women are not attracted to honor and integrity. I made a video a while back ago, why women have no honor and integrity, right? This was another one of those thoughts that from all those years ago, noticing just the total lack of women in my life because I'm like that, because here's the thing, like I'll prove it. Case in point, what I find a strong purpose in my life is one, especially for this YouTube channel in general. This YouTube channel in general was born out of my desire to entertain and make people laugh, right? Initially. But as I went through life, as I had my own struggles mentally and emotionally, I wanted to create a space or an environment or create videos where I help people never have to feel the way I felt. And that even extends to the relationships between men and women, is I never want any child to grow up without his father, right? Now, I'm lucky. I'm going to be clear. I'm lucky. My dad is still in my life. I can call him and talk to him right now if I wanted to. My dad never moved out of the state, never moved out of the city. My dad never said he didn't want to be in my life. My dad never did anything like that. My dad has always tried to be a good, strong father figure to me. Always. Never. So, but that's the thing, and I think that's the strongest thing to me, and what really tells me the problems that we're having is, despite the fact that my dad has always shown that he's loved us, his lack of presence there consistently still hurt me and damaged me a lot. So you can only imagine never having your father, or having your father say something awful to you, having a terrible father, having a father that said he doesn't want you. I'll never forget this moment with this young man. where he said, this when I was a substitute teacher, he said, you know, has your father ever said that you're not his and he didn't want you? You know, I couldn't even imagine ever saying that to a child, but to walk with that. My purpose in this YouTube channel even extends when it comes to relationships with males and females, is about making sure that you guys, or your children, if you're watching this, or you know, maybe you're a lot older and you've already unfortunately dealt with what I've dealt with as well, but to help us not have to grow up without our fathers, number one. That's one important thing. To not feel how we felt, to not feel that anxiety or that abandonment, and to never feel the way I felt. And that's one very important thing I want with a lot of these YouTube videos, and the reason why I focus on strong male-female relationships is because I know at the end of it all, it's the children that are created or the children who are not created. That's the most important thing, and that's why males and females relationships are as beautiful and also as destructive as well as the damage we do to our children. And I want your children, you know, you viewer, if you have children currently, or if you're in a relationship, or if you're trying to get into a relationship, I want you to understand in the future, you know, past the woman's validation is a child that needs your validation. And so as a young man, I want you to understand that you have value and that you are necessary, and to never feel like a thing to be used, and to never feel like your only job is just materialistic and to just give people stuff, and your only job is to be taken advantage of. And I want, as young ladies, even for the young ladies, I don't want young women to feel like the only thing important about you is the fact that you look nice. And I don't want young ladies to only rely on their physical bodies and their beauty to give them validation and worth, and that they're not just objects to be taken advantage of, and that they, as a feminine force, is equally as powerful as masculine force. The masculine need to curtail and control the world and battle the elements is just as strong as the woman's nurturing, the woman's kindness, her emotional vulnerability to help and support. Supporting is just as great, if not stronger, than just, you know, the actual action. You know, if you play different video games or different RPGs or turn-based strategies, you'll understand the importance of just how strong having a good support unit is. And that element isn't respected in femininity. And even then, even if the feminine woman wants to be the leader, she's not respecting the responsibility that comes with the power. You know, and I want women to understand that just how strong you are and how necessary you guys are as well. You know, my purpose in a lot of these YouTube videos, the strong desire I crave from you guys, is to, one, never deal with what I deal with. And that means never deal with the depression I dealt with, never deal with the sadness, the low self-esteem, never deal with the aggravation. I don't want people to feel the way I felt in the past. I want to help you guys get out of that. Male, female, I don't really even care. I want all of you guys. And again, I do have a stronger focus on young men because there's very little focus on young men. And also because helping young women out is a really, really, really tough thing to do. I know, because I've tried for years. But that's my purpose with this YouTube channel. My purpose with this YouTube. And so hopefully you guys can also see, like, in my actions, you know, like, I'm not making flashy thumbnails, which really isn't the best for my YouTube channel, but you guys can hopefully see I'm not asking for a bunch of money. Even though I put Patreon in the description, it's mostly just muscle memory anyway. I haven't posted a video to get paid from Patreon in probably years from now. From years ago, not years from now. You know, I don't ask for money. I don't really ask for donations. I just put this stuff there just so because people have asked me to, people have been inclined to, so I give them the option. But I don't need any money from you guys, you know. I don't need lots of popularity from you guys. I don't need lots of this stuff. The only reason I need clout is so more people listen so I can help them. So even then, any need for clout is just a means to an end to help you people out. I don't need the money. I don't care for lots of attention if it doesn't help people. The only thing I'm concerned with is you guys never feeling the way I felt. I want to help you guys never be depressed. And I can't stop that, you know. I understand. I'm just some nigga on the internet. But what I hope is that you guys don't have to deal with depression. You guys don't have to deal with suicidal thoughts. And you guys, you know, if you become a father, you understand that you are important and you don't abandon your children, you know. And if you are a mother, you understand that you're very important, you know, not just because you carried the baby, but also you show your baby social situations, how to understand and relate to people, how to be emotionally vulnerable and empathetic and expressive of yourself. There's a lot that goes into femininity that gets really, really missed and ignored. And I want everyone to understand how important we are. We all are important. Men, women, We all have value and importance, you know? And that's what I want you guys to walk away from when it comes to a lot of these different videos. I know I talk a lot of crap about young ladies because they suck. They suck. I'm sorry. A lot of women suck, and they have to do better for everyone. They do. I'm never going to shy away from that reality. But at the same time, young men, you know, we have to be righteous and be good for not only for our own sake, but for the sake of other people as well. You know, and that's what I want you guys to get. And that's my purpose with this YouTube. That's why I make these YouTube videos. That's why I talk about this stuff, is to help you guys out. I want you guys to be better as people and to be happier. And sure, I just, if I'm just the initial spark that gets you there, I'm totally fine with that. But that's what I want, right? So let's do a little bit of a test now. How many women do you think are more attracted to me now after I explained that than before? Because I can answer that question with no hands. The answer is 0. Now, young ladies may be impressed by what I said, but I've never ever lamented this desire. And here's the thing, I'm not saying any of this stuff to be attractive to women. Again, if you're listening to what I'm saying it does not make me more attractive to women. So I've never done any of this stuff because, in fact, I don't even want a woman to watch I don't even want to like date a YouTube fan. Not that I wouldn't, but I really wouldn't want to, because like I want the woman to like me for who I am and respect me as a person and my righteousness, right? Or at least my attempt to be, right? And so I'm not doing any of this stuff for female validation. In fact, this is the worst way. If I really wanted female validation, I'd be the naked Derek Jackson. Like, you know? And so it's another reason why I wanted a lot of young men to disconnect from the need to get female validation as well, and to learn how to validate yourself first and foremost, for many different reasons we'll get into some other time. But having that strong purpose and drive to help other people has never endeared a woman to me, to my knowledge. If it has, she's never made it known. If it has, it's still, I'm still single, so it never made her want to keep me. If it has, any other problem, anything else wrong with me was more important than my purpose. Everything else about me was more of enough of a reason to not want to be with me than my purpose. So either way, no matter how great that purpose I have is, everything else that's me is my nappy hair, my ugly face, my abrasiveness, you know, my dickhead tendencies, is not enough. And it's okay that it's fine. I'm not saying this to complain. I'm not saying this because like, oh man, it's so bad women don't want me because I'm trying to be good. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that it is utterly preposterous and ridiculous to tell young men that we need to focus on our purpose to get women. It does not endear them to us, right? And so let's listen to Courtney Ryan a little bit, right? Because we really need to get to this point where we as young men do what's right because it's right. And that's what and here's the thing. I want you guys, before we start going on to it again, I want us to understand that as much as I criticize this stuff, I'm criticizing the motivation, okay? You should have a purpose, a goal, a soul that moves you in life. In philosophy class, the soul was that which moves you, what motivates you, what pushes you forward. We should all have that, right? And you guys all know, I'm a Christian. I'm going to tell you guys, the goal should be to glorify the Lord, right? Because only good things come from God, right? So you guys know where I'm coming from, right? I'm going to keep telling you that. But from that giddiness and happiness aside, it's not wrong to want a goal and to fight for it, or to fight for a purpose, but to do so to get women to like you. So it's not good. So let's listen to Courtney Ryan talk a little bit about the purpose and how attractive it is, and then I'm going to show you guys a really, really good example of how that just don't be the case.
And last on my list, number 5 is purpose. And it's not necessarily about what specifically your purpose is, it's about having one. A guy that is striving to be the best version of himself and putting in the work and putting in the effort is so incredibly attractive to women, much more than a guy who is a bump on a log not doing anything. This could be with your physical fitness, getting a degree, maybe getting a promotion at your job.
So again, is the best version of yourself a modern day knight that upholds a modernly adapted code of chivalry? Is it a man who works out for his own right to be strong, valiant protector? No. No. Is it a man that focuses on playing brain games, sharpening his mind, his mental acuity, trying to be the best accountant he could possibly? No. Is it a man that reads lots of interesting books, studies literature, studies history, and tries to create different shows and movies to help motivate and show people just the wealth and beauty that is what human history is? But no, 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 and no. No, that's not what women are not endeared to men for any of their creative love and nature of the world. They are endeared to men because of the things they can provide. And I'll show you in a moment, don't worry, but let's just keep listening to Court.
It's going to look different for everyone because it's so individual, but whatever your purpose is, find it, create it for yourself, and be a guy that has one. And if you're someone who feels a little bit lost about this, often our purpose comes from our passions, things that we love, things that we light up when we do, things that we enjoy doing. For example, I love helping people, and I have found my purpose through being able to interact and help all of you. We all want different things in life, and I think it is really important to not necessarily compare your journey or your purpose or what you're doing to what other people are doing, and genuinely focus on what you love to do, what makes you happy, and what your purpose is. And newsflash, your purpose is probably not just going to appear one day or fall into your lap. You have to create a life that aligns you with that. So if you're someone who's struggling, you really have to create that for yourself and work on yourself and be the best you that you can be.
Now, if you want my honest opinion, I really don't care what your purpose, your individual purpose is as a young male, as long as it's not motivated by evil, motivated by doing something that hurts people and destroys lives. At that point, you become my enemy. So, I mean, if your purpose isn't like trying to do what's wrong and scam other people, then, you know, if you want to be an accountant, more power to you. I mean, if you want to be the best garbage collector you can be, more power to you. If you want to be a CEO, more power to you. If you want to, you can do everything. I don't care. It doesn't make me any difference. The only thing I'm concerned about is whether your character is strong, whether your family is well taken care of, and whether you are a loving individual that strives and tries to help other people. You can do anything you do as a man. I want your character to be in line first and foremost. Being an electrician, being a train operator, being a police officer, all those things are great and necessary, but it's not what's the most important to when it comes to my concern for your healthy well-being as a young man, right? And so with that being said, I'm not a woman, so I don't look for people to take care of me, right? Like I don't have this programming in my brain that I need someone to like give me stuff, or I need someone to make my life better, right? As males, I think one of the strongest things we were given as males is this need, or is this desire to try to go forth and try to make the world ours. Because even if it's not something that we do because we want to, or it's just a necessity of society or human existence, it does give us the opportunity. Not every man takes it, but it does grant us an opportunity to become wiser and become stronger and become better. And then we take all that stuff and we give it to our sons, or we give it to our daughters, so their life is easier. And our life is trying to help other people live a better life. And then them trying to make my life easier is just going to help me out. Of course, I'm not motivated by that. In fact, that probably won't even be the case, but it's a life well spent. And that's kind of one thing that I think is really lost when it comes to these conversations, because women just are not like endeared by that at all. Women, they really don't care. And what we're going to do now is it's going to be a little bit of like story time, a little bit of movie time, where we're going to sit and we're going to listen. I'm not going to spoil it, but we're going to sit and we're just going to listen to this fantastic example I saw on the internet.
The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sometimes the green you see is actually the sewage caking up in the distance. I met my ex-husband Dave 6 years ago in college. We were both 22, and to say the sparks flew immediately would be an understatement. Within 2 years of dating, he asked me to marry him and I said yes. Dave is a smart, funny and extremely creative man. He majored in digital animation, and aspired to be, in his own words, the digital Walt Disney. He had a way of explaining the worlds he created and the characters in his mind with such detail that it left you with wonder. He had a singular focus to find a work in his profession after we graduated, but getting into show business in and of itself is hard, let alone animation. A fact that we'd find out soon in married life. We uprooted from our home state of Washington and went south to California to be closer to Hollywood. I studied education, and became a school teacher. He took on odd jobs and freelance animation projects to try and get his foot in the door with any of the big animation studios. For the first couple years I accepted that was how it was trying to break into the biz. But over time my optimism turned to pessimism. Los Angeles is not cheap, and getting by on a teacher's salary and what he made from the few gigs he'd get wasn't going to be sustainable long term. I started to get impatient with his lack of progress. My impatience soon devolved into resentment, and it trickled down into every aspect of our marriage. 3 years it continued like this. Just when it looked like he might catch his big break, nothing happened. Yet he'd plead with me that he had to stick to his plan. That his hard work would pay off. I could see it with all of the bills we were barely keeping at bay. During this stretch, our relationship started to fall off. And when I say fall off I mean more like tumble off of the edge of a bottomless chasm. Dave's dream was becoming my nightmare, and I just couldn't stand being around him at times. Every waking moment he'd be working on his what I called stupid projects. Yes, we went and had dates. We met friends we'd hang out with. But Dave's failure to launch his career in animation was taking a toll on me. I decided I'd take my frustration out by hitting the gym, and I did. Between 2018 to 2019, I was in the gym religiously when not working. That's where I met Kevin. Kevin is an LA native. A Cali boy through and through. When I started I wasn't in completely bad shape, which is why I think Kevin took an interest in me. It initially started with some idle banter, as it always does. As I made progress in my gains, his attention became more focused. I knew what he was up to, but I didn't stop it from happening. I was so dissatisfied with my life with Dave that I welcomed Kevin's attention. Dave took a notice to how my body was changing and was deeply appreciative of it. But I had stopped reciprocating that affection. I started to look at his with utter disdain, and in hindsight I knew he didn't deserve that from me. I denied him affection and intimacy, which was a horrible, disgusting thing to do to him. But it wouldn't be the last. As the months progressed things between Kevin and I picked up. Pretty soon I was going to see him outside of the gym. We were going on full-on dates. I would lie to Dave telling him I was going to hang out with friends from work, but instead I would go spend evenings at Kevin's place. And yes, those evenings would be spent doing more than just watching TV and trading workout tips. Dave was in no way cognizant of my cheating, though he was well aware that I was unhappy with how things were going between us. But he toiled away trying to make me happy. Doing everything he could to try and fix us. And I gave him nothing but indifference. When I told Dave I wanted a divorce in August 2019, it hit him like a truck. I told him that I could no longer wait for his dream to come true. I wanted to start a family, and that where we were financially, emotionally and mentally I would never have that with him. He begged and pleaded for me not to do it. He kept asking me why and how could I do this to him. A part of me did feel bad because I knew I was leaving him for Kevin, but I believed in my heart this is what I needed. We were still in our mid-20s. He could bounce back from this. We just weren't meant to be. Those were the excuses I told myself. As we lived in California, I decided I wasn't going to destroy him in the divorce. All I asked for was half of what I had brought into the marriage. We were living in a one-bedroom apartment with no real assets to our name, so there wouldn't be much to get in the first place. Meanwhile our friends and our families had no clue about Kevin. Kevin however did know I was married, and on the rocks. It was he himself that convinced me to leave Dave for him. By November 2019, I was divorced from Dave, and slowly inched my way to being with Kevin full-time. By the time the pandemic hit California full stop, I'd realized how much of a horrible choice that was. Hanging out with Kevin and living with him were two completely different things. I won't got into detail, but it dawned on me how much I truly missed the things Dave would do that Kevin didn't. Like the little doodles Dave would draw on post-its and leave in spots he knew I would find. Or how he'd always bring me food when I was grading papers. It's all of the little things that started to build up. I also came to the realization that in terms of the SZZ, newer isn't necessarily better. There were things that Dave knew about me sexually that Kevin never even bothered trying to learn. We pair off, that's exactly it, we pair off. There was never any love making. Never any tender moments spent together. And now I was quarantined with him. The first couple months I told myself this was right. But by June 2020, the revelation that ducked up royally began to sink in. But this was around the time that I'd also let the cat out of the bag that I'd moved into a new relationship to everyone. As you'd expect, Dave was crushed. He sent me a long email talking about how he was deeply hurt by the idea that I'd moved on in just 6 or so months, but ultimately he just wanted me to be happy. I wanted so much to come clean to him about everything then and there, but I knew I couldn't. I'd cheated on him for months, lied to him and left him for another man essentially. I couldn't bring myself to doing that to him. But it tore my soul apart reading his words, knowing now that my own selfishness cost me this beautiful soul. All because I couldn't just sit down, shut up and wait for his plan to come into fruition. Fate it seems isn't without a sense of irony though, as just a couple months after that email, I'd come to find out Dave had partnered up with 2 other freelancers he'd worked with on past projects to start their own studio. With the mass exodus from Los Angeles, finding office space for the study wasn't hard at all, and they could still work from home if they wanted. I also found out through a mutual friend in his field that they'd put out their first project that was going viral on the internet. Finding this out made me feel like utter crap. Here I was believing me leaving him for Kevin was setting me free, when it was the opposite. He was the one set free from a selfish, demanding be of a wife. Kevin and I ended up splitting almost a year to the day that I told Dave I wanted a divorce, August 2020. The whirlwind romance we had ended with a small breeze. Months of being with each other showed that we were good as duck buddies, but not as a couple. I ended up moving into my own place a month later. And that's where I've been ever since. Watching as Dave pieces his life back together and mourning the life I willingly ended. I've looked at his ArtStation profile often, and it's once of his shares from today that really gutted me. The title of the piece was My Muse, and it was a fully rendered illustration of a female's portrait. Highly detailed with a watermark labeled for Cassandra 21. That's what he used to call me when he'd do portraits of me, his muse. Whoever Cassandra is, she's clearly picked up all of the pieces of Dave I left broken. I click on one of the tags, and lo and behold, she's also a digital artist and just as talented as Dave is. So not only in my absence did he find the focus to start his own studio, but he's found a woman that shares in his creative nature more than I ever possibly could.
So, this woman destroys her relationship. This woman cheats on her husband, goes into the arms of another man, because her husband was not performing. Now, of course, here's the thing. Lots of people say that at the end of it all, this woman only regrets her actions because her husband actually, or her ex-husband rather, did become successful. It's probably part of it. Might be a big part of it. I will give her the benefit of the doubt and even a bit of grace and say maybe she did learn and maybe she did finally recognize and realize that not only was she selfish and stupid and whatnot, but maybe she didn't actually value this man's character. It's not really how she wrote it, but you know what? Who knows, right? I don't know the woman personally. But the reason why I wanted to show you guys this story is not to discourage you guys from following your passions and doing what's right and working hard, but to show you guys that, like, you don't do it for women. You don't get motivated by women. Case in point, this is just a perfect example. This man did everything right. He worked hard for his dreams. He worked hard to do what was good. He worked hard on his animation, and his wife got frustrated by his lack of success and cheated on him and left him for someone else. After doing everything right, he still failed. That's why you guys can't be motivated by women, because some women are just stupid. Some women are just selfish. Some women are just out of their mind. Some women are so self-loathing that they'll just work to destroy themselves. Which means that when you do look for a woman, you gotta find a woman that has character. And that's really tough, and I understand that. But you cannot be motivated by having a woman in your life. Because if that man was just motivated because he just had a wife, he would have never been able to find the studio and find his opportunity and continue to work on his passion. You have to do what's right because it's right. You have to do good things in its own sake and not have it be tempered by whatever reward you may get or whatever woman that might come into your life. Because even if it never works out, you still would have had the skill. And if you really enjoyed it, the journey itself is its own reward. Which sounds flashy and whatnot, but the reality is, like, being a human and an adult, you kind of have to have a job in general. So to me, it's kind of stupid to, like, attach your self-worth to just the nature of having to get a job and, like, take care of yourself and get money. It's kind of a thing you just kind of have to do in order to be. So it seems really stupid to me to, like, put so much weight and value on it for your self-esteem when it just, even if you have no self-esteem, you still have to do it. It doesn't matter. It has to be done. So hopefully, with that being said, I'm going to conclude with this. Once again, guys, your purpose, your drive, whatever you want to accomplish in life, don't do it for women. Do it because it's right. Do it because it should be done. Do it because it may need to be done. Do it for its own sake. You do what's right because it's right. You know, it's interesting. Lots of people always need some type of reason or motivation to do good things for people. But one thing I've always noticed about individuals is they'll never think never think hard about why they should do something selfish. They'll never think hard about why they should do something that makes them feel good. They'll never think hard about why they should seek out pleasure and whatnot. But the moment you tell people to just do good things for other people, all of a sudden, why? I don't get nothing out of it. What do I have to do? It's like, you didn't think that hard when you took out a cigarette and you lit it. You didn't think that hard when you went to go buy some weed. You didn't think that hard hard when you went out to go have sex with a bunch of random people. You didn't think that hard. You didn't think critically or hard or difficult about doing anything wrong that's gonna hurt somebody or hurt yourself. But now you need a grand argument as to why you should do what's right for yourself and other people. I think that by itself might be something you need to think about. It might also be a video I need to also create. Again, my friends, you do what's right because it's right, not because someone's going to give you something for it, and especially not because women are going to like you. With that being said, I assume that you guys got something out of today's video, and if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. Shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comments below, and as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.